Today we're going to look at how a sweep works. So a loft took basically shapes and connected different shapes based on different plane locations. The sweep is a little bit different. That basically takes a pathway and projects a object shape along that pathway. So the first thing that we're going to do is we need to create two sketches. One of the pathway and then one of the shape that's going to be located on that pathway. So let's do a pathway first. Now this is all two-dimensional. You can create three-dimensional sweeps also with a three-dimensional spline. That is a little bit different than what we're working on here. So let's go ahead and create a sketch and we'll create a shape. So I'm going to go ahead and create the base, which is the XZ, because I'm going to create the spline on this two-dimensional location. So the spline that I'm going to create is basically a object that allows me to create data points and have a line go through those data points. So this is great if you're trying to follow a track, or if you've got a wire or a hose that you need to create, or a bendable piece of material that you're trying to form. And so the big thing is that you don't want the shape to fold back on itself. So when you create the object that is going to follow this path, you don't want it to fold on itself or touch itself in any way. So there's our spline path. What's interesting about splines is that we can now grab these points, and so these spline points are totally movable. And if we need to add another one, I can right mouse click on the spline, and then we can add and insert another spline point. And so I can insert another point. Once that point is inserted, I can choose OK, and now that point has the same ability as any of the other points. And this gives you the control of making your spline object very flexible to meet a specific type of shape. So I'm being very purposeful on how this shape is being created. Once I'm finished with creating the shape of the path that it's going to follow, I'll finish the sketch. So I mentioned we have to create a second sketch, but this sketch, the second sketch, is going to need to be created. Let's go ahead and delete this one. We're going to need to create a sketch on a plane. So it's easiest to create the plane first and then create the sketch on the plane. So that construction plane is going to be vertical. And so since this object path falls off along this YZ plane, I'm going to use that as my construction plane. And then I'll put a sketch on that construction plane. Perfect. I'll look at the construction plane on the right hand side because that is exactly the scenario. And if you remember, we started the spline directly at the 0, 0 point. So now I'm going to create a shape that the spline is going to follow. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a line. And then let's go ahead and create an arc on top of that. So I'll create a line on this side also. Or I could mirror it, but that's okay. We'll just make it close. Can highlight this, bring it across so we get the same height. And then I'll choose an arc to fit the top. Alright, now notice the shape is blue. That allows us to know that that is a closed entity, and we need that. It's nice to have a closed entity when you're sweeping it along the spline itself. So now we're going to finish the second sketch since we have the object shape. Now if we can, we want to put a hole or a circle in it, we can do that. There's a lot of different features that we can do. We'll finish the sketch, And the tool that we're going to be using is called Sweep. And so there's a dialog box that appears. We have a profile and a path. Well, the profile is the vertical object. And then we have to pick the path, which is the original spline. And so it looks like a piece of Twizzlers or a gasket that we've created. And that's the idea, is that the object follows a pathway based on that shape that you create for it to work with. So one of the things you could do is you could go back and edit the sketch of the shape. So we'll choose OK. And if we go back and edit the sketch of the shape, we could go back, throw in a circle here, and now finish the sketch. And on the extrusion, we can edit the object shape and see if that extrusion can be modified. And there's sketch 3, there's sketch 2, construction. We have the construction plane. By the way, we can turn off the construction plane because we're not using that right now. And we have a body, which is what I need to edit. So create components for bodies, create selection set. As we go along, I'm looking for the edit option, and I don't see the edit option. Alright, so let's go ahead and just choose edit feature from the bottom, which is our history. And so that feature, I want to choose the profile again. So I'll close out the profile. This time I'll choose just the outside of the profile. The bottom shape is still selected, and now you can see that we have a hole, and that is a tube that runs all the way along our pathway also. So again, I had to go to the bottom on our drawing history and edit the sweep feature. Alright, as always, you get the raw video. I don't edit this. It's basically, if I make a mistake, I try to fix it, so that way you can learn as I go back and work through any issues that appear. Let's put it back in the home view. And again, this is a sweep. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.